Welcome to Nature's Neighbor. I'm your host, Melanie Blankenship. Possibly, that's a typical Monday, possibly joined by my co-host, Josh Carmichael. I'm hoping he's en route, but he's known to be late, so we'll just add it on as late. And I didn't want to start the show any later because time is time, We all are running out of it and searching for it, needing more of it. If I could farm anything that I would want, I would learn how to farm time. Because I try to manage it, but I don't think I manage it well, because I'm always running out of it. So time is important to all of us, and it's, starting at 5 o'clock so that we can be more present for you guys. For the people that are brave enough to reach out, we have YouTube Live, we have Instagram Live, we have Facebook Messenger Live, right, Miguel? Am I saying all that right? All of that is live. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, guess what? It's all up and ready for you to ask us, put me on the spot. You can do it. I'm good at it. So, we are right here in downtown Templeton on this beautiful Monday. It's crazy because, we have to start Nature's Neighbor off with talking about the weather because weather is definitely a topic right now. I am shocked that we got as much rain as we received. I'm shocked that it's actually as cold as it became. I giggle because never has the weather patterns failed in the sense of everybody thinks that, when we get these warm Februaries, warm Marches, that frost is over, that we're not going to get a frost. And everyone jumps on the bandwagon and sees that other nurseries have their plants out ready to plant in those months. And so they assume it's warm, plants are out, it's time to plant. I can't tell you how many text messages I've received today, last night. Today was pictures of plants of like cucumbers and zucchini asking me why their leaves turned white or why it looks like it's wilted, but there's water present. Sad to say that more than likely, your temperatures dropped into the close to freezing. I don't see us getting below 32, but some areas did get close to it last night and early this morning. So that is a good indicator that your summer crops more than likely either probably won't survive, or even if they do, they probably won't produce. Because that shock and that stress of that lower temperature is definitely detrimental to your plants. So I'm sad because some of those people, I told them, I'm not saying, you're going to see a person come through. I'm not saying it because I don't want people to plant. I was saying it because over all these years of experience of doing this, it has become noted that no matter how warm it gets in February or March, we still get some cold weather before May 15th. And we had it last night. You should
talked about it.
You should see my text message. I was sharing the text messages. What's wrong with my plants? So it was definitely temperature. I'm happy you're here.
Thank you.
I was worried about you. I responded.
I made it. I said I was on the way. It just was.
You have gum in your mouth, or I'd give you warm sourdough bread.
That looks pretty right.
I just kind of broke it up, put it on the show because that's what Miguel and I snacked on before the show started. So, that's kind of who we are. Also, it's that's a sweet sourdough that I use to make with our honey.
Ooh.
So it's organic, all-purpose flour, sourdough starter, water. Olive oil and honey.
I'll give it a taste as soon as I can.
You have gum though,
okay.
So you have to actually take your gum out to be able to. Yeah, there you go. Put it. And that's
problem solved.
We are breaking bread. Do people understand what breaking bread means? It means you're sitting down and you're having a conversation and you're breaking bread and you're sharing because you're trying to, conquer something or share something or be a part of something, right? I'm giving you a part of the bread.
Yeah.
So I figured we'll title today with breaking bread because
I love that saying. That's a great saying.
Yeah, we're breaking bread today,
over
Josh.
the table, and
Feel it.
I always said with people
it's still warm.
How can you be mad at each other when
you're
breaking bread, right? And you're like, hey, you jerk, can you please pass me some more bread? Like, you got to be nice.
It's got a good.
Oof, it feels good.
Mm-hmm,
so let's get in there and taste that.
So, not us talking and eating at the same time.
Oh, the honey, I really get the sweet.
It's good, huh? So I did that with last
Let's go trim some butter.
Ooh, I want to make some honey butter. I made it with last fall's honey harvest. So,
Nice.
starting to get a little crystallized. So that's the best.
There's a lot of wildflower or what kind of,
So buckwheat, a lot of the sunflower families, the tail end of the native families. So, and it's the darker honey. People don't realize that too, Josh. It's, every flower provides a different colored nectar.
Yeah.
And
Toyon might even be blooming right around then.
And Toyon's usually a darker one. Yeah. So it could be, it varies. And actually, Toyon actually bloomed earlier last year, than it normally has.
Remember that, yeah.
Yeah, but it was also berry. Toyon is also known as Christmas berry. Why? And the native cultures call it Christmas because it's a red berry during Christmas time. And so, this year it actually came out red, before Thanksgiving. Yeah. So it was early last year. Don't ask me why I remember these things. I mean, I can talk plants, soil, food.
Well, we're just trained to recognize patterns, right?
Yeah.
That's just our human nature. And when you really get ingrained with your place, those things just happen to stand out more. And knowing that it's going to get cold right before May, like we were just talking about that. Everyone was like, let's go get our tomatoes. Let's go get our tomatoes. Let's get them. I'm like, slow your roll, everybody.
Yeah.
I know it's 80 degrees and it's, still March, but
90. There was several days of 90.
We got a lot of rain. It rained right when I passed your house today. It rained on me. It was raindrops. I had to get it off.
3 inches we received at the farm. Yeah. I'm on the west side of Templeton.
Yeah, so slow. Everywhere I was over the weekend, it definitely had some downpours.
So beautiful now. And I'll be honest with you, it was cold, and I was happy to put my rain boots back on and my slickers. But I also have to tell you, I was conquering gophers like nobody's business. There's a new open field that I want to do a medicinal herb garden that has gophers galore. And it's funny, people, this time of the year too, everybody's planting, dealing with gophers, ground squirrels, birds. But this year, I'm noticing some difference in the patterns. Gophers aren't building the mounds like they normally do. I don't know if I have a different...
I haven't seen a lot of mounds this year.
No, I don't know. I was thinking maybe I have a different species, maybe. Or, just the soil is different. Like there's no...
Well, maybe it dried out? The soil dried out hard?
That's what I was thinking. But I was noticing also that the gophers that I am catching, and I'm going to be honest with you, what do? I put cat hair or goat or lamb hair that I get from the plant, and I get the wool, and I mash it all up, and I stick it in one hole, right? Open it up, stick it in the hole. And then I start working, probing, trying to find where the tunnel is. Yeah. And so I'm catching them, right? I'm catching them. Yeah, trapping them. They're huge. So I'm like, why are they bigger and there's no mound? But like there was one, Josh, round. I held him and he was like this big. And I'm like, dude, you've been eating well, And so, and then I'm noticing what is he going for? He's going for fruit. He's trying to go through fruit trees. He's going through, the sweeter things of sweeter herbs, basils. Yeah. He actually was even trying to get chives and stuff where
interesting.
Yeah, they normally don't bother onions, but that was definitely one of the
anywhere there's moisture because they probably were so dry. I mean, we had those downpours and then we had 30 days of rain or of sunshine in between. Yeah, but so I don't think we had the moisture.
I was layered though. Like me, I'm layered. So I didn't dry out. I'm also on the west side, right? So we get fog.
Yeah.
So we didn't dry out.
And wetter.
Yeah, so it was definitely, and I'm just noticing a different pattern in how they're going about. But, when it comes to rodents this year, I definitely think because of the grass, we're going to have a little bit more of a prone of rodent problems. Understanding that, what are some deterrents of things that you can do naturally to deal with rodents?
Cats. That's my favorite way because I get a lot of...
Mine too, and
evidence in my house, so I know they're out there getting.
A lot of people don't have that choice, but things like mint families work really good in keeping rodents at bay.
Oh, I like keeping those around our orchards, around the stone fruit a lot because it kills overwintering pests too.
But people don't realize, yes, it takes a lot of water, but it also is a reader. Yeah. So when mint is moving, water is present. When mint is just kind of rescinded back into the soil, your soil is dry. So, it helps benefit deeper rooted structured plants like trees, different hardier perennials. Why? Because most of those perennials don't like surface moisture, where mint only thrives on surface moisture. And the thing is, you can mow it. So when it becomes, invasive, if you're not cutting and eating it, mow it.
Yeah, and heavy soils, I've had really good success with it, staying pretty put and being a, benefit. Sandy soils, it's really like dominated
it takes
places
it
and orchards.
Moves
so
fast in
so
sandy soil.
Learned that over the years where to use it.
Things like pennyroyal and those kind of things are a little bit more easier controlled. In sandier soils, spearmint, peppermint, they really like that sandy soil, and they take off. So, things like that. Like that's what I'm also doing. I've actually started in the same soil area where I want to do a new medicinal herb garden, in the holes of gophers. I've gotten a good stake of mint sticks, right? Just went angle cut a bunch of different mint and stuck them in the holes. Guess what I have growing, and I don't have gophers anymore, and I don't even have to water because, the gophers are bringing that minerals and that moisture to the surface, and the roots go right in. So, there's things like that. Like it doesn't have to always be so uniform in what I'm saying in your structure of your garden, and utilizing this late rain, understanding how fun it is to go out and pull weeds in that this weekend, because I'm sore today, but I didn't want to have to run my weed whip in this one area because I want to get the soil loose and I want to get it aerated. What better of a storm could we have than going out and pulling weeds? Yeah. Right? Understanding when I say aerate that surface of the soil, that's what I'm meaning. How when you pull roots out and you shake the soil, that's what aeration. Void, yeah, and it's so a good awesome.
Way to get rid of weed seed you don't want and aerate the soil at the same time.
Helps it breathe, and that's with this weather. I know there's a lot of people, and I'm not kidding. You guys made my battery go dead on my cell phone, which is fine. I appreciate it but at the same time, there's one person that's just like, I have to giggle because she was pretty honoring with me about not having an heirloom tomato availability in the end of February. End of February when it started to get really warm. And, she kind of put this attitude of, I'm not reliable because I don't have, I'm just going to, I'm going to put it out there. Orange tomatoes. I know what customer she is. Yeah. She doesn't realize I know her by the plant she buys. Sure. So she's my Anima orange heirloom tomato, and so she texted me though. She's all right, you called now? No. All right, you called it. And I'm like, I'm sorry, it's not the fact that I called it. It's the fact that it's a system that always seems to be.
It's a pattern to recognize.
It's a pattern to recognize. Yeah. And tonight's going to be colder.
I knew that was going to happen. I threw down extra cover cropping and went down with some of the last rains that came. And then with this rains, we were ahead of that with some more seeding because I was like, it's going to push summer starts back. Yeah. And there's no reason to get ahead of yourself.
But the thing is like
now you're behind.
The preventive measures also of building your soil before. Like it's not just about always planting. Planting does help, but it's not just about planting. It's building the soil and being prepared for what's to come. Yeah. Right. And that's kind of like even in our own health and our own life. It's like, why are we so reactive
instead of preventative? Instead of preventative. I just was saying that comment like yesterday.
And at the end of the day, what matters? What matters is the fact that we're moving forward. We're all being happy and things are thriving and surviving. Yeah. Right? We're not just.
Well, that you can repeat it. I mean, that's sort of
keep it going. So that's where I'm at right now. Is just trying to keep moving forward. Keep trying to plant more, put my roots deeper in the soil by building my soil, and trying to create a bigger resilience. We have a lot of change going on in front of me, in me, around, like everywhere around me. There's a ton of change, and at the same time, changes could be good. Yeah. But when we've been in a pattern of changing and then being reactive instead of preventative, there's not this, hold tight, and then just keep moving forward, right?
We're less balanced.
You're totally unbalanced.
Yeah, the change hits you harder, but change is not only constant. And so I think that, most animals take to comfort, or luxury. And then when something goes away, they get upset. And it's like, well, you have to be able to, like we said, not keep all your eggs in one basket and really diversify, what's available. And that's something that, I think I've learned the most through just studying, with like native foods.
Yep.
And they'd say, okay, when this food wasn't available, this is what most people would eat, and there's even emergency types of foods when you're in, really heavy droughts or other, types of disaster, kind of moments that there's always going to be something that Mother Nature provides because she has so much, redundancy and overlap, and there's so many things that you can do.
And it doesn't have to be the same.
Find resource.
Where do we become this like one size fits all?
Yeah.
And then, how, we keep turning back to the same systems instead of, even when the systems don't work, we still keep going back.
Well, it's like menus in most restaurants. When you don't change your menu, I'm like, how is that possible? Like, how do you not have things on the menu that are abundant in this time of year? It just doesn't make sense when, because the quality of like that tomato in February in our area is not going to be what it is in June.
And the sad thing is like
July.
People do like consistency, right? Like they'll go to the same place for that consistency, right? But why is it the fact that it's like all like that now? Like there isn't an option out there. I want to place 2 for option B. You know what I mean? Like we have become this
the
system
corporate
of
chains and things that are just monotonous. People are just willing to accept as like this is, their only reality. When things are not as, regional or variable, people just become less resilient to change. And I think that those are little things that, build up to more and more to big things.
Yep.
For sure.
Yep.
Yeah, one of my favorite things I'm going to say, I've been kind of noticing, finding if it's a trend or something, but there's just sort of more highlight to different people around the world. And I've seen it in so many different countries, even some in the U.S., but just models of, hey, this is how we're using the land. We're not only, farming or growing food on this land, but we're also providing some kind of hospitality and a stay. And then the people are harvesting.
Shared that with me.
I think I sent you something with it because I was
in the Philippines.
Yeah, that one was great because they added a lot of medicinal and with herbs and spa treatments and massage and even medical things.
It's like you're right. Like what a dream!
I've seen great ones all over the world.
He shared this Instagram post with me over the weekend. That is a health retreat, but it's a health. It's a
farm first.
Yeah, it's a farm first. So they're all living there, but it's they're all, there's a group of people that are doing this all together. They harvest their food in the morning, but it becomes medicine in the afternoon. I love that.
Yeah.
And that said, but Josh, what is it about our culture and our society that I could give you 10 facilities like that used to be here in our area? One of them, Echelon Institute up in Big Sur, but and that's different and it's changed.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we used to all go up at 2:00 in the morning and go sit in the mineral tubs, right? There's so much in the Big Sur experience where you live off the land and you learn how to eat, eat your medicine. But that doesn't exist anymore. That's owned by somebody else, and it doesn't exist anymore. There's 10. When you sent that, it actually made me sad because it reminded me of how many facilities I knew about.
Yeah.
And I'm only 50. I'm going to be 51 here pretty soon, but I'm only 50.
Yeah.
Like, how did I know about 10 facilities that were farm first? Then they had multiples of families or groups of people that came in, worked the land, were a part of it, and then had occasional people that would get to come in, be a part of it, to learn, to potentially then maybe go do it on their own land or be a part of it. How can I know of 10 in just our one area that they're no longer existing? That the land has been sold off, divided. Maybe it's a part of a trust that it's not like that anymore.
Yeah, the know-how's gone.
Yeah.
Or regulations change. There's a lot of things that have added up to
and I'm going to tell you, I know quite a few people that have left the country to do that also. Costa Rica, Mexico, Honduras, not Australia, more to New Zealand. There was
some in Spain that were really amazing.
Oh yeah, I don't know anybody. I'm telling you personally that have either come through Nature's Touch or just a part of my family or life that have come through that I've farmed with here. Peru.
Yeah.
Peru. I know of all, and can I tell you, all but maybe 2 or 3, which is a good handful of people, right, have tried to come back already. That their governments or their communities, their resources have changed, and now they're realizing that they needed
more opportunity here.
Yeah. Started a family down there, realized that they thought they were going to have a different education, wanted to come back. But once they pulled their roots out, they couldn't put their roots back in. You know what I mean? And that's where, when you look at, like, I would love to have that. And I would know how to build what you shared with me on Instagram. And I'm not trying to, like, say no, but how come I'm sitting here saying I've known of all of these other situations that are exactly like that, and it's changed. It's not feasible. It's not doable. You know what it is? What I know is the most common denominator is how, and this is why I never moved Nature's Touch as a nonprofit, because when my attorney told me, Melanie, I need you to give me 5 people that are going to sit on a board that are going to not always agree with you, but are going to be able to
hold you accountable.
No.
Oh.
Work like you,
Oh.
manage finances like you, see the importance of the value of the land that stays on that land, sees the value of you don't eat before somebody else does. And I'm like, and I'll never forget when he asked me that, and I kind of sat back for a second, and I said, well, what do you mean by that? He goes, Melanie, you see that's like, okay, that's an imperfect egg. But at the same time, could you sell that egg first to be able to put money back into that infrastructure first? He's like, give me one person that you can even just say that knows how the importance of feeding yourself to sustain yourself, but not compromising, but sustaining the infrastructure that is creating this nonprofit first. Why do we keep putting our hands in a pot that needs the pot lid closed for a little while? Right?
Yeah.
Nobody's taking out of it because you're not producing enough. You're not ready to harvest yet. You got to put more money into this infrastructure, right? He just said, give me 5 people. And I tried for a year.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I would give up a portion of my land and we could turn it into a nonprofit. If you gave me, ready for this, 25 years. And everybody looked at me like I was nuts. Because what other investment can you do that you have to wait 25 years before you actually get a paycheck, right? And why I'm saying this is because think about it. Plant a fruit tree. How long do we have to wait?
Yeah, years, 5.
How do we build that soil where we can actually just feed the people and provide medicine? Then how do we build the structures? How do we build, I started putting on, 25 years is not that long to build a farm.
That's like 1-2 generations at the most.
Right? It's not that long, but when it comes to investment or nonprofit status or, having a group of people be able to live within their means, meaning they can put energy into this nonprofit or put energy into this farm, but not make a living from it yet. Not
want
pull
the
from
immediate,
it.
Yeah, like most shareholders of any other.
Most shareholders are there for tax write-offs or other incentives. Other incentives.
Investment.
So, and that's on.
Instead of like 7 generations ahead that tribal groups would do. I see a
majority of our nonprofits locally. That is the problem too. There's too many hands in the pot, pulling from the pot, and the system is not being managed properly, right? And again, it's like you get volunteers, right? But yet, what are they? They're showing up, but what really is getting done, right? Where's the overall accomplishment of it? Right? Okay, so think what,
an
Miguel?
epidemic there.
You have a thought,
sure.
and I can tell. Say it.
So every time I hear somebody talking about that specific problem, and it's very common when you go to like a nonprofit organization, you're trying to support them, and the moment they're like rah rah hooray, but then afterwards they're like against each other almost, and it's like
fundraisers versus working.
Yeah, fundraisers versus working, but the only thing that comes to mind is it's the thought that counts.
No.
You know, no, I'm saying
Yeah, I know.
That's their excuse. It's the thought that counts, but there's no actual.
Yeah. What harm am I doing?
Yeah.
They want to be
I
held
showed
harmless.
Yeah, yeah.
I showed up, but doesn't that mean something? Well, I have employees that do that to me. I showed up. I should not get a paycheck because I showed
What
up.
got them to that point? What got them to the point from showing up how they're, somebody else used to today?
It's a society thing, because I do feel that, I've resigned from a couple of boards and nonprofits because I want to go to work. I want to see results. I want to see us do projects and say, okay, we're a local nonprofit, and I want to see us not just fundraising for our organization. I want to see that money be used for what it says.
There could be something that might not ever happen because the goal is like, we need 90 million, and they're like, oh well, that's going to take 25 years at least.
I resigned because I could not just keep going to meetings or fundraising events, or I wanted to work. I wanted to get dirty. I wanted to get sweaty and actually see something progress. And because I would fundraise, and then it became, well, where did that money go? Well, we had to pay for the venue. We had to pay for this, and this person sent us an invoice. And I'm like, wait a minute. I just fundraised for this nonprofit to go out and build benches in the park, right? I'm just going to throw it out there. Build benches in the park, but yet this nonprofit actually went to pay
their office overhead and
office overhead, but also these other entities that were part of the event or the fundraising event. And vendors. I'm like, why shouldn't all this be donation? If it didn't get donated, then why are we doing it, right? Like, there's it has to look a certain way to get people to show up. No. If that's the case, then we need to look at a different way of going about this.
Yeah, there's a certain epidemic there with the type of business model that really has found, I think, a lot of failure, and especially with the mission creep, they'll call it, or whatever else. But I think that, what I've really learned through, permaculture is that there's always that intrinsic characteristics of things. We talk about, intrinsic characteristics of a chicken. Okay, they're going to scratch. They need light. They need dust. And they, do these things. Intrinsic characteristics of a business is that it needs to make money.
Yep.
And I think when you have government and you have other, entities in that mix that are like not putting that on the table.
I call government now an enabler because it is. It's enabling.
Yeah, they're like, oh, we have a pot of money. We're just going to keep getting money out of this magic pot, and we don't ever have to have, like the marketing and advertising and the other, return, for their investments to their, Can you
imagine if they showed up, if like you and I have to show a profit and loss statement?
Yeah.
Could you imagine if, government and nonprofits actually had to show a profit and loss? And yes, everybody's here is nonprofit, so they don't understand what that means. But profit to me is the accumulation of even putting it into that infrastructure, right? The office overhead, the building, the venues.
Profits to reinvest in the business.
The profit is to reinvest into the nonprofit or into the business, right? You and I, we have to show profit and loss because that's where our, I'm talking tax code because guess what? Wednesday is, I filed an extension and sent my check, I sent my electronic check, okay? So, Mr. IRS, you are getting your money that I disagree in paying you, but I'm saying it already. It's awful. This is an awful week, okay? I think because of how intelligent this country is, I think I should be able to say I made X. Well, I'm lucky if I make X. So let's just stop at X. Now we're not even going to go XX, okay? So I'm going to say I make X amount of dollars, okay? Yeah. And that on the top. And I want to have choices. And I want to click. I want my money, if I'm going to have to pay 13.3% of income tax in the state of California, and I'm going to have to pay an additional 8% to the feds, okay? So add that up, okay? Guys, we pay the highest income tax than anywhere else in the state, okay? Okay, so that percentage of what I'm going to pay, I want to click it. Okay, this is where I want my money to go. Okay, and at the end of my signing off my electronic check to the IRS or the state of California, I want to say, Melanie, your money is going to go to this. Melanie, your money is going to go to that. Wouldn't that be awesome? Not where our system goes, oh, I'm going to tax you another 13.9% on your gas. Oh, and it's supposed to go to roads improvement fees, but nope. For the last 2 years, it went to the general fund. How can that happen? You know, so just putting it out there because this is that week, right?
There, yeah.
And this is that week where we all should be, as Americans, no matter who we are, what we are, should be demanding and asking these questions, not going amongst each other, not be afraid, but literally.
Well, we should have ability to hold those people accountable, and we should know what's going on. And we've just been really, kind of put into the dark and fed a lot of bullshit. Like it's just a really, like, oh, here, have more, of this, have more of that, and we'll take away these things. I think George Carlin always said it really well. He's like, they give you the illusion of choice. You think that there's a lot of choices, but they'll only have about 2, 3 big oil companies that the money goes through and stuff, then funnels through. But they'll give you 31 flavors. You can have a new bagel choice. They're like, oh, it's the freest place on the planet. But
right, we have 31 flavors of high fructose corn syrup and the food coloring.
Yeah, so there's a lot to unpack where it's gotten to and unraveled to, and how do we have a two-party system that really can build platforms that are
disconnecting,
viable. Like there's just not platforms that really work. Like people will put the money into where they see fit, and to the victor goes the spoils, and so they just go back and forth.
Where do we become that where one side it's the other side's fault? It's so weird to me because. We're sitting here talking yes.
Well, it's like North versus South, Hatfield McCoy's.
The gas tax, healthcare. I mean, the funny thing is, we're also in this big election time, right? People want to pay more attention to the one in the White House when, yes, they directly affect us. They do. But what is quicker? Our state. And how about the fact, is anybody actively involved in the midterms right now? Does anybody realize we're voting for our governor? We're voting for our assembly? Nobody even knows. That is what is directly affecting us. And to understand all of this, what I'm talking about in taxes and regulation, you guys, I posted in 2019, okay? Think about that date. A year, on 2019, the same week, on Facebook, I posted. Because I will never forget that day. And you want to know why? We were in this store, bebopping. We were kind of busy, not really busy. It was beautiful weather. It was growing a bunch of stuff. Things were really starting to come in. And boom, USDA inspector. Boom, state of California inspector. Boom, county inspector. All in the same day.
Wow.
Every single one of those inspectors walked in, wanted to talk to the manager or the owner. My daughter said she was a manager. I walked in and went, oh, I see their badge. Let me handle this one, honey. And literally, it was, oh, I like what you're doing here, but let me tell you, you're not going to be able to continue to do this the way that you're doing it. And I said, excuse me, why? Well, we need, and they just started, every single one of them started giving me a list of new compliances that I was going to have to be held accountable for, okay? It was awful. It was awful. And then every one of them, and they left, another one came in. And I found out that there was a conference that was going on in this area, right? And they were out looking for certain things, so they might as well, right? They needed to make quotas, is what it is, okay? So I posted that because I said, I was in the back dealing with that. My daughter was walking, mind you, that was how many years ago? She's 20 now.
Yeah, so, she was young.
Yeah. So, I had to then walk out with a smile on my face when all I wanted to do was cry. And get question after question after question after question of people asking me for things that I already knew at times I couldn't do legally, or I had to get ready for everything else that they were asking me was going to be illegal. And I was already paying for taxes and permits and all of that for this stuff, right? Yeah. So I reshared this the other day. This post to remember what happened in 2019. I will never forget that day because 2020 came. COVID
threw
came.
It out the window?
Yeah, no. It became worse.
Oh, yeah.
It became worse. And every year since then, think about it. Since 2020, we have now in the state of California, we are trading water futures on the NASDAQ. We started that in 2021. What does that mean? Wall Street can put out You want to invest in your neighbor stealing water for you and selling it to LA County? Okay. Here, buy some water futures. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, there's so much of like stuff like that has gone on that's what I keep saying. It's gotten much worse. It's not about
they've trampled over more.
Why
more
me
the same
versus
thing.
anybody else? And I, like a customer, everybody wants to, oh, Melanie, we love you. And again, I love the love and the respect that I have for my core people, right? I love that. But at the same time, I told a customer on there and a good friend, but I told her, I said, you know what I realized? It's me first. After this, it becomes everybody else. I don't know why I'm first. I don't want to be. I want to be last. Okay? But it's me first. I find out, and then the trickle down effect. The difference is I'm not afraid.
Yeah.
Take it from me. I dare you. I built it. I don't, I want it. I love it. I want to be a part of it. But I'm at this point now where it's like blow after blow after blow after blow. It's like, where do we draw the line? I'm sitting here. Look at what I just gave you guys. 13.3% income tax. We have gas tax. We have healthcare tax. That you and I, all three of us, none of us have healthcare. You guys all know it. When's the last time you can actually go to some place and talk about your health? Right? If you and I did not eat good food, if you and I did not take care of ourselves every single day, what would happen?
Yeah.
None of us can.
Fail.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, we can go and I can get my Ozempic injections. I can go and get my, psych drugs. I probably need them, but at the same time, it's like we can't go and I can't say, shit, I had a mass that grew on my liver while I was pregnant with my daughter. I wonder if it's still there. I don't know. Because who would I go to? Where would I go? How could I afford?
Yeah, you'd have to pay out to a certain extent.
$7,000 deductible.
Exactly.
But it's like it doesn't. And honestly, none of this matters because guess what? I'm gonna keep going, and I'm not gonna give up. But that's what I'm noticing. What is the difference, Josh? I can speak about it, and everybody goes, "How can that be?" I don't know. You tell me. Are you growing off the land that you own? Are you trying to sell it within the same community that you grow and live in? Are you trying to help people feed themselves? Are you trying to help people build their own businesses and put money within their own selves? Are you so dumb and naive sometimes to be able to believe in other people that they don't even see their own belief in themselves?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I hate seeing more potential in people than they see in themselves.
And yes, I'm outspoken, I'm demanding. I might fly off the handle a little bit too much sometimes, but you know what? Guess what? I'm at that point where do we look at? He's younger than us, but you and I are the same.
Yeah.
Where do we go and keep this fight going? I'm watching things just disappear. I'm watching things not be maintained like they need to be. And there's like this horse blinder thing that is going on where people aren't wanting to look at the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Yes, I can sit here and tempt you with, sourdough. How many people even know what sourdough is?
And how to get there.
And I love when everybody comes in and goes, do you make it gluten-free? And I'm like, yes, I do actually. You know how I have to? Because gluten is the binder, people. That is what binds everything together, okay? So once you take gluten out of it, you have to put other things into it to create that gumming or that gluten effect. So what are you getting? So you're getting xanthan gum.
Potato starch or something.
You're getting potato starch, but even potato starch gets too dry or it gets too crumbly,
yeah,
right?
you need a mix of several flours or
so
ingredients.
what is the organic method? It's xanthan gum.
Uh-huh.
People don't realize that it's a manufactured tree part, right? People don't realize that.
It's a bark, yeah.
Yeah, but yet what if we worked on our gut flora and we understood that gluten is actually, if you can't break down gluten, you're not breaking down other things in your gut.
You got bigger problems.
You got bigger problems. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, how come we can't look at it that way? And then understand what sourdough is. A good active starter, right? So you get your fermentation going, right? Fermentation is key because guess what? That's what your gut is.
Let's get the bacteria from the air. You bring it into
your gut,
being able to be digested.
Yeah. So your gut is all about where your food gets broken down. And that's where your minerals come out of it, your vitamins, everything that keeps your body going, right? Your brain power is your gut. So if your gut can't break down gluten, Which at the same time, are we supposed to eat it all the time? No.
Exactly.
But it's at one, like Miguel and I talk about milk. It's like you love, feeding your girls good milk, and it's incredibly important. But understand what it is, right? And are we supposed to have animal byproducts all the time? No. We service that point and purpose of it. When you eat bread, when you drink milk, when you eat meat, guess what? You feel full faster, right? But also that protein that you get from wheat, from milk, from meat itself is brain power. It's energy. It's strength. It's blood circulation. But it's not when you're, half, 90% ground beef fat and, you're pouring salt, iodized salt on it.
So the garbage in, garbage out.
And you're eating crappy flours in your breads, and you're using active dry yeast instead of a sourdough starter, because that sourdough starter helps those enzymes of the fermentation of sourdough are helping break down that gluten. Mm-hmm. So that's where people at times, and I'm not going to go with celiac, because celiac is a whole nother issue. But if you have problems with regular wheat and you try a little bit of sourdough and you have no problem, that's why. Yeah. Because the sourdough is helping you break it down. Mm-hmm. So, but that doesn't justify like me eat the whole loaf with dipping it into honey and butter. You're not supposed to do that. But, if you're active and you're moving a lot and, you have good moisture and hydration in your system, yeah, you can. Yeah. But if you don't, you probably don't want to do that. But understanding gluten-free sourdough, we've made recipes.
Just our fuel sources and knowing those better and what they're going to do.
And rice flour and sorghum and all those grains or seeds, they're seeds, they're not a grain, that are being used for gluten-free are actually tend to be on the higher glycemic level. They're higher sugar. Sugars, so knowing that, right, just because it says it's gluten-free, also too, what kind of oils are they using? This is olive oil that was produced here. This is in our small press the other, last November, that's, honey that came off of our farm. And why? Because you don't want canola oils. You don't want imported Italian olive oils that have vegetable oil added, because Italy can't export their contracts right now. Yeah. And so they can add, up to a percentage. Well, no, it's not even sunflower, because France and Spain are struggling in their sunflower production, So, there's a lot of that going on that, to know that it's not, labels are not honest. And so if you see it being farmed, you see it being pressed, you see it being put in your container, and you walk out with it.
That's pretty true.
You can't question that one, but, and again, the whole point of all of this in the beginning, many years ago, the point of all these other people that that idea of having a farm that ends up becoming a health retreat or a health center, that's my dream, by the way. Those all had been started. But the problem is markets changed. Government changed, right? Yeah. And because government and markets are more important than our community and the way that our community sustains itself, those kind of infrastructures cannot sustain. They won't stay.
And the reason, investment,
because society tends to follow government and Wall Street more than it does their neighbors, more than it does their own soil that they're standing on. What is most important to you right now? Instead of, I can, live in a tract home in Texas for $200,000 cheaper than I can do in open space in California. Oh, wait. They're having an energy crisis and they have weird weather and cold and I can't leave and I can't feed myself. Like, that to me is what is more important, is to know that I have health security, food security, environment security. We've had crazy weather. We have earthquakes. We have fires.
There's real cost to put towards these things that people are just, conflating and inflating, and, they really are running on whatever programs are being put out. And that's what we've been saying, is how do we find, better consumer, that's not even information. I think it's just practices. Yeah. Because that's what's going to do it. Actions are really going to speak louder than words, because, is going to bounce off these barriers that they're putting up. They're like, okay, you guys do what you want. You're still going to be paying, in this bracket, or you're still going to be getting taxed this.
I know,
and you're
that's
still
the
gonna be
American way. You cannot live in America without thinking you're going to pay a tax. And all these people that think, oh, I might not be working, or, I'm not paying income tax because I'm making cash. You're paying tax because you drive a car.
Sales tax.
Healthcare.
Yeah.
You might not pay it right now, but you're going to pay for it.
Yeah, what happened to our no taxes without representation?
Right?
When we knew what we were paying those taxes for and when they were unfair and why.
Clint and I, my husband and I were talking the other day because, our children are, Cody's 23, Savannah's 20, but talking about healthcare options for them, right? When Clint and I got married, started our path and got married, it was crazy. We had a company that was awesome. It was Mission Medical. We paid a monthly premium. We could, make a doctor's appointment within 3 to 4 weeks. I got pregnant with Cody and everything was paid for. We paid our premiums. We paid our deductible. Guess what? When Cody was 9 months pregnant, Mission Medical went bankrupt. The insurance company that we had made us pay twice. So $15,000 out of pocket for our insurance to have Cody, right? In the beginning. August of 2022, Mission Medical went bankrupt. And I had to more than likely have a cesarean. I was not going to be able to go into the hospital unless we agreed to pay it again. And so we did. Hey, but guess what?
Fair.
You know what I got told in a letter, and I still have it, that they have filed chapter, and once the assets and everything had been divided and separated, that more than likely I would see a refund. Cody's 23, and I have not seen a refund yet. So
we'll pay you Tuesday.
Yeah. So Cody's birth was $30,000 out of pocket.
Gosh.
So to break it down like that for people, it's and I wonder why my children don't want to have kids. But did you see what I'm saying? But the bankruptcy came, and they, what they found? Fraud. Mm-hmm. Fraud.
Yeah.
And yet, did I see a refund? No.
Yeah.
So again, you and I are all paying. We're all paying because we have too many bad apples in the box. But the problem is how, as a farmer, I know if I leave that apple in the box, it's going to destroy the whole box. Mm-hmm. Okay? That's what happens in sorting fruit. Okay?
Yeah. Citrus.
We take it out and we compost it and allow it to come a different form. Right? When are we as a society going to be allowed to hold fraudsters accountable? But I don't think we have room to we need to create a chain.
Bin for them?
We need to create a chain gang,
they have to go work on the farm.
Yeah, you can come farm with us. You can muck stalls. You can come run at Crescent Valley Meats.
There we go.
Yeah, you actually have to go do manual labor. Go work out in the fields.
White collar crimes, instead of putting them in club feds, they should definitely put them in.
That would be awesome.
What's like in South Korea, people of age have to go to the military for at least 2 years, and then
Israel too.
Mandatory services. Yeah.
But mandatory.
Russia does that too. I'm not comparing. They all have to. You know what I mean? They all have to go into their military branches before they can go into.
I think everybody should work at least 2 years when they're 15, something.
I was younger. I was.
Yeah, I've been working. My kids have been working. Yeah.
I started working at 15. Look how I turned.
My first paycheck, I was making $3.75 an hour. The gas was 99 cents a gallon.
You are older than me. I was making $4.25. $4.25. I
already had an investment by that time, buddy. 99. I
had a paper out before that.
Yeah.
Yeah, $3.75.
Mine's $3.75. Yep, Black Oak Motel, So, and then Pacific Pride after that. It's a clothing store in downtown Paso. I giggle because it's what has changed? And how about this? We had a family little meal, and we're sitting there talking, and we're talking about what would make a drastic change in our system right now. Yes, lowering gas prices, but what it is at that point. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine if they lowered minimum wage? If we could get minimum wage back down to that, can you imagine? It will never happen. I know it will never happen because people don't realize, what does it say? Minimum wage. None of us are making minimum wage. Well, we're lucky if we make an income because we're all self-employed. But but at the same time, minimum wage. That was a starting fee, and if that business didn't want to pay you more, you had options to leave that place and go somewhere else, to actually be able to work for something. You know what I mean? To build something. To me, it's like, what did I say? Just because you show up doesn't mean you should get a paycheck, right? Like, what happened to being, prideful in building something and holding on to it and watching and being a part of it? Looking back at all my previous employers, I don't have any regrets. I learned so much from every single one of them, and all of their businesses were good. Every single one of my bosses, I think, were sad when I resigned, or
I still talk to a lot of
me too.
People that
actually
I've worked with.
My longest one before I was a self-employed, before he passed away, I'll never forget. We sat out here in the garden, and he told me his force into retirement was me leaving him. And I'm like, well, I wanted to go out on my own, that. And he goes, yeah. He goes, but I'm still sad that you left me. You know what I mean? Like, who. And I said, yeah, I wish right now, because I had already been in business for about 20 years at that point. I'm like, yeah, right now, do you want to employ me back? Like that. He started laughing. He goes, only if we saw the infrastructure, I would. And I'm like, okay, so what is that saying? Like, to me, that's an honor. And I would love if I could throw that out there and maybe make that contagious, and being prideful to work for something, being prideful to stand up to something.
Instead of working for a minimum.
We all know the fraud and the corruption and the disconnect and the destruction and the filth of our system. We all know it. It doesn't matter if you're red or blue or R or D. It doesn't matter. We all know. How do we get better together and stand up to this and go, I don't care who you are, what you are. Let's figure out a way to move forward and keep us working better, because we have a mess on our hands. So, that's where, knowing I wanted to put it out about my post and kind of where it is from 2019, because I just shared it. And all I said was, it's much worse, right? It's on my personal, it's on Melanie. Mm-hmm. I cannot get over the people on Facebook, but privately. Like, and I'm like, guys, what do you think? Like, do you know how much money I have to put out just to be legal in business? Do you know what it is that's going on right now? And there, you asked me to do this. Do you know I can't do that? Why can't you do that? Because there is a permit, transportation, a HACCP plan, something that is required for me to do that now.
Well, we were just talking about some fees last time we were in here, that just new...
the hood inspection. Yeah, no, it just keeps coming. And like, look at, I shared that, and yeah, that's just one of others. And it's sad, Josh, because I'm doing that. I'm calling other people that have kitchens and asking them. A couple of people in Paso have had
They're
it.
just calling it fire insurance. I don't know what they're trying to cover.
No, the hood inspections. And so I'll be honest with you, I can see where I'm at in the queue, right? They're like, no, Millie, I haven't gotten it yet. I'm like, what haven't you got? My inspection yet? I'm like, oh, that's why you don't know. Heads up, it's become that. You can kind of see. It's just, and what did I say in the beginning of this? It's just I'm first. Yeah. I just find out first. Sorry. And then later on, people come and they're like, I'm like, where'd you go? Well, I got it, but mine was worse. Why was yours? Well, older infrastructure. Who would have thought that because I had been maintaining it and holding on to it, that it would become forcibly obsolete?
Yeah.
Well, what do you mean forcibly? It's better than the new stuff. And they're like, yep, but they said in order for me to continue to do business. And then I'm like,
I don't know what compliance they're trying to get out of it.
Emil, did you ask him, do you realize if you don't have me, that means there are going to be less of yous are needed? Because who is going to go and do all those? You're not going to have anybody to inspect.
Yeah.
But, and I'll be honest with you.
Slope.
There are some really good inspectors out there. They don't let you slide by any means. They don't let you slide. But they work with you to be able to find a resolution to be able to keep going.
Yeah.
Those are few and far between.
Yeah.
Right? There's definitely just this disconnect of, I'm government, you're not kind of thing, and
we'll
so
roll over you and not look back.
Yeah. And
that's a tough moment.
And people ask why, how, or what. It's society has demanded that. Society wants a label. Society wants oversight. They want to see something on TV and go, oh, I want to be a part of that. Not realizing that, okay, just because it's California Adventure, farming is not an amusement park. It's very black or white, right? You either you live or you die. And in our world, we get color because we have flowers and we have animals and we have soil. But at the end of the day, it's you do or you don't. You know, it's if you put it in, you're going to get it out. If you don't put it in and pay attention and focus, and even sometimes even that tends to not happen. But, you know, people want to think that what they're a part of is the trend. They're a part of, but they don't realize what it takes to make that
they don't want
happen.
to put the accountability in their own hands. They want it to be done for them, but they don't want to pay for what it takes to do that.
Or stand up and vote, or stand up and realize that.
So I don't know, like, do we have a complacency issue? Do we have an inaction? Do we have ignorance? Like, what is really the roadblock?
Our phones.
Distraction?
Yeah, distractions. And I also feel like there's an educational thing. People don't understand what a regulation is, you know, versus a tax, versus a bill, versus, like, you know, this whole Social Security tax and my issues of wanting my grandma to live the rest of her life with no Social Security tax, right?
Yeah.
Our state government and our federal government right now could write a bill, and by the end of next tax season, it could be gone, right? You know, we could have an executive order that says, from this point on, we are not going to have any more Social Security tax, right? But yet, they want to put it to the voters, right? And then they'll say, oh, we need 2/3 or we need this amount of votes. But then what happens? It goes to court.
Yeah.
And then whatever happens from that,
out.
like Prop 12. Prop 12 is the free range chicken law. You can't have crates, your mama pigs in crates. You can't raise veal. You can't raise, you know, caged animals. Okay, so Prop 12, everyone except for me voted for it because they thought, yeah, I want my chickens to be free. You know, but they didn't realize that after it got sued and went to court many times, it wasn't legal. But what it did is allowed legality to be rewritten, laws to be rewritten, and to be able to be forced in a different way.
A new regulation.
In a new regulation. But it's never the way that we voted for.
Yeah.
Right? So this is what I'm saying. So all these props and all these things that keep getting on our ballot, what is more important, even if you vote for that or not, whatever, what is more important is to know who the person is, because that person that you're voting for, the assembly, the Senate, the Congress,
where they're going to,
you know, governor,
kind of turn and bend the money through.
Yes.
Because they're going to just put it through certain industries that
supervisors,
they're going to be lobbied.
You know, supervisors. Can you make an appointment with your supervisor right now and get into that office and have a discussion of things that are directly impacting you right now in your business, in your home, in your neighborhood, you know, a nonprofit that is definitely laundering money? Can you have that conversation with your supervisor right now? I can.
Yeah, I've gone to their office,
and I've done other supervisors, and every other supervisor except for 2 that are on our board that I feel are very open and willing to work. And I see, is it the way that I would like it to be always? No, but I do definitely see acknowledgement and impact of the meetings that I've had, you know, and that's where it's like maybe, you know.
Yeah, starting at that level, I think that's the thing, is there has to be more connection to the local level, because that's what's accessible. It's not usually very accessible to even get towards the state or, you know, federal. I mean, maybe local and state are, you know, where you can really be, but federal laws, you know, have to be pressured through those.
I do think we got to get rid of some of these
realms.
layers, because these layers are protecting the problems, you know, and that's where, you know, we need to just kind of start like kind of in a way of a clean slate, because there's, you pass this one, but then we have all of these others that override this one, and it's like, where do you fit? Oh, I don't know where you fit. Right? So what do we do?
Yeah.
What do we do? What do we not do?
I see that
you
a
know?
lot.
Yeah, that's all of it.
Just in building, you know, regulations. It's just like they don't even know which department to put it through.
Yep.
And they're like, we want to charge you money, but we don't know how to charge you money.
You know that this is regulated, right? Yeah. You know that you're not supposed to, the way you store sourdough, the way that you move sourdough, you know, you got to learn about kombucha. We'll talk about kombucha and how the alcohol companies created regulation for kombucha. So,
Fun
guys,
times.
we are at the end.
Next
And
time.
hey, don't forget to pay and file your taxes on the 15th. If you have not filed your extension, you better hurry up because the time is a ticking. And don't forget, the government needs your money. But you know what? It's better to plant it in the soil instead. All right, guys, have a really good week. Take care.
Cheers.